Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I'm your host, Quianna Canada. Welcome back to the Quianna Canada Show. Before we get into today's topic, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Remember that your likes and your shares, what it does is it pushes videos like this up in the algorithm. It tells the algorithm that videos like this are important. But we must be reminded that just because videos like this are not pushed up in the algorithm, that is not an indication that videos like this are not important. As a second preliminary matter, don't forget to follow me on Facebook by searching for my name, Quianna Canada. That's Quianna, last name Canada. I am currently only active on Facebook as well as my YouTube account at Real Quianna Canada. So these are the only two social media accounts that I'm active on. My LinkedIn account, my TikTok account, as well as my Substack account are being occupied by Irish American cyber hackers. I go into detail and explain at length as to why that is occurring. And to learn more about that, you can look at my series, Mimicking McCarthyism, which is a 21-part series. If there are any if there are any videos that are unavailable on YouTube or within that series that you are seeking to access, please let me know and I'll do what I can to make those videos available. I am recording this video. I uploaded this video to YouTube today and it was recorded last night, but the lighting was so bad I had to go out and purchase lighting to make these videos look better. And so I think that I've accomplished that goal with the lighting that I currently have. And so this is just a re-record of the video that I have uploaded last night. So I'm taking that video down off of YouTube. So if you see that there is just like this second video with me wearing something different, don't panic. It's just the same video, but just re-recorded because the lighting is so different. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, on the 3rd of January, the U.S. military struck Venezuela. It's Venezuelan parliament, the presidential palace, and the El Hatillo airport. On the same day, the U.S. military captured President Nicolas Maduro and Cecilia Flores, and this all happened in Caracas. The president's capture raises a fundamental question whether the current events in Venezuela is an expansion of the American military-industrial complex. There are, I must admit, conflicting sentiments of what the United States' bellicism in Venezuela really means. For example, Global South argues that the United States' actions are a clear violation of international law. Leaders in the Global North have argued the same, but have been reluctant to draw the conclusion in some Global North states. Yet some have acknowledged that Maduro is not the legitimate president, and that seems to be the contention of the U.S. government. There are other arguments that are circulating on social media that I am looking into addressing, but not going to be addressing them in this video. Secondly, people have taken to their social media accounts to denounce what they believe to be hegemonic dominance. Yet there are videos that I have seen, the footage, ladies and gentlemen, of Venezuelans have taken to the streets to sing "Ding Dong, the Wicked Witch," and you can fill in the rest. So essentially, some Venezuelans seem to be elated and appreciative with the United States conduct over the past few days. However, conflicting reports state that Venezuela has called on its citizens to mobilize on the streets. Now, I've also seen videos where Venezuelans have taken to the streets, its military has taken to the streets, and have condemned the United States conduct as an act of aggression and has labeled it a war crime. There are also arguments that I have seen that allege that the United States' actions in Venezuela is an act of economic warfare, by which it will deny Venezuelans imports and interfere with its exports. And there does appear to be some rationale to that point of view. As we know, some media experts, scholars are of the opinion that that is what will happen. There's this argument that regime change never really works, never really is efficacious for the state that is being overthrown. And building on that idea that this could be problematic for Venezuela, we would just have to wait and see, right? But that appears to be the contention of many scholars, both in the United States and some in South America as well. In Washington, Trump appears to agree with the sentiment that this is economic warfare. The executive office concedes that its actions were to get back the oil that it believes Venezuela has taken from Americans and to stop narco terrorism. Yet there are some arguments that it's debatable whether or not that oil belongs to the United States. It remains to be seen, but for now, the argument that's coming out of Washington is that the oil that it seized in Venezuela, in the area where it seized that oil, was American oil. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, they are arguing that the United States has pilfered that oil. So we would have to see once there's an update on these reports, whether or not the U.S. is telling the truth or whether Venezuela is telling the truth. What I also found interesting is that the United States has made some serious allegations against Venezuela that it basically it's an allegation of auto golpe that it is made against Venezuela, and this has been the impetus that has spawned this action of invading that nation and seizing that oil. This American flashpoint, ladies and gentlemen, has also caused international pugilism amongst Americans and Irish people in Dublin. Why do I say that this has caused international pugilism? Well, essentially, now I have seen reports that have stated that people in Dublin, Irish people in Dublin, have come out and denounced the United States' actions. And if you have been following the stories and the headlines for the last couple of years, which I'm pretty sure you have, they have consistently came out and protested against the United States along with Israel in relation to its actions in Palestine and in Gaza. And I think that this is just another issue that another conflict that Irish people are holding on to for themselves, because again, we must remember, and please understand that I am not a expert, nor am I knowledgeable on the Troubles, so I am very ignorant on what happened during the Troubles. But I think I either watched a video or read an article where it said that Irish people were still, I think, like the Troubles for them have not felt, it just felt like yesterday, essentially, for some Irish people. And it still can be traumatic for them. And so it raises an important question, I think, as to whether or not they feel that the consistencies of this international conflict would be a harbinger of what's to come in their own backyard. My argument would be that I don't think that the United States would ever seek to invade Ireland, and I don't think that Britain would ever consider doing that again, although there is what I believe to be differing of opinions about a united Ireland, or differing of opinions about whether Britain, about colonialism, etc. There's differing opinions about that. And to reiterate, that's something that I'm light on, haven't studied enough on, and it's something that if someone wants to have a conversation with me about that, I am open to having a conversation about that. What else, ladies and gentlemen? What else? What else? What else? What else? Some have argued that the United States' actions in Venezuela is not America first, because Trump has campaigned on being a president of peace, being a president that is not waging war against its allies or its neighbors. And the argument essentially is that the United States is not Fortress America. The United States is not withdrawing from international conflicts and international involvement. Some would argue, if they are America first, that maybe that's essentially what Trump is trying to do, is he is seizing oil to make America stronger and better. I've yet to hear that argument, but that is just plain devil's advocate. But many Americans have taken to their social media accounts and have argued that these wars are not impacting America in a positive way. For instance, there has not been a decrease in homelessness on U.S. streets. There is still a large homeless population in many U.S. states. Furthermore, this has not increased the minimum wage. In some states, the minimum wage is $5.25 an hour, and then it may go up to $7.25 an hour, and then some states it's $10 an hour, and I think at its most it's $15 an hour. But we know that a single human being needs to live on at least $21 an hour. This is so that they can have food for themselves, pay their rent, pay their utilities, and possibly, ladies and gentlemen, just put back some money to save, or to enjoy a bit of that money, or to invest in a car to get to and from work. And I don't think that Americans are seeing enough of that happening now. There aren't any policies currently within this administration that is addressing homelessness, that is addressing that is making a livable wage possible. And this is what I'm deeply concerned about. Yes, I am deeply concerned about international conflicts as well. You know, I am a anti-war activist. I think that there are other ways to handle international conflicts than resorting to war. And war only makes things worse, in my personal opinion. But building on that idea, I don't think that the war that we have seen is contributing to the greater good of the United States. It has only caused, to reiterate sometimes, this fundamental attribution error where others are attributing the United States' actions to American citizens, and foreign nationals are American citizens are experiencing microaggressions from foreign nationals and intimidation from foreign nationals because of the U.S.'s actions, which is deeply concerning to me. Is there anything else that we need to address? Let's see. I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to follow me on at Real Quianna Canada and on Facebook. What do you think? Do you think that the United States is do you think that the United States is right in the action that it took on the 3rd of January 2026? Do you think that the United States should have invaded Venezuela and should have captured President Maduro and his wife? Ladies and gentlemen, one thing that I want to say before I end this video is the United States the International Criminal Court? Is the United States that powerful? The International Criminal Court. Ladies and gentlemen, not even the International Criminal Court could pull off what the United States pulled off in Venezuela. And I guess this demonstrates the power that the United States has. The United States is probably the only country that has the power to go into foreign nations and to capture a sitting president and bring them to face charges in the United States. Is the United States secretly the International Criminal Court? Is the question. Maybe we will do a video on that. We'll look at the International Criminal Court. We'll look at the statue, the Rome statue. And I think a question that we'll be raising is whether any of those statues, whether international law applies when the United States is capturing sitting presidents and having them face charges in the United States. It's something to look into because, as you know, there are leaders in certain countries that have been accused of international crimes, have not faced justice, and this is all over the place, not just in one place. And the only country that seems to bring those persons to face their crimes in court, which are the sitting presidents, is the United States. So it raises the question as to the power of the United States, right? And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to talk to you next time. Bye-bye.